We were talking about just the idea of niching. Should you niche? Should you not niche? And I have two perspectives on this. So I think niching can definitely help you target and focus in on who you are looking for, talking to, engaging with, seeking out, focusing all of your marketing efforts on. I also think some bookkeepers are good at marketing and they use niching as a procrastination method. And for those bookkeepers, I say don't niche until you hit six figures. So if you fall in that camp, listen to all of this with a grain of salt. I can elaborate more on why I think you should pause niching. But for those of you who are like, I really would like to niche, I'm going to give you some pros and cons and just how to start figuring out what good niches are for you to pursue. The nice you hear the phrase riches are in the niches. And the more you can really laser focus on the niche will allow you to take off from that perspective. There is a book that I love on this that I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to because it's actually one of my favorite business books. It's a super short book by, you guessed it, Mike Michalowicz. I'll grab that link and post it for you. It's called The Pumpkin Plan. And in this book, it is talking about growing a giant pumpkin. So like, how do farmers grow a giant pumpkin and how you can take lessons from the farmers to do it in your business. So that's a little thing there. So let me grab that link for you. And Pumpkin Plan, if you're excited about fall, it's fall worthy. This is on Audible, all of those things. So if you're looking to just listen to something, the author does read this book and he's pretty funny. So, okay. Oh, and I probably need my Facebook up. All right. So we're going to talk while I'm pulling the rest of that up. If you guys have a niche or don't have a niche, I know at least one person on here has a niche. Feel free to drop that in the chat, share it with us. If you want to share it, you're welcome to. If you don't have a niche and are looking to get one, feel free to let us know that. And if you're like, I'm not going to have a niche, I'm going to be industry agnostic, let us know that too. Okay. So what are niches when we're talking about it? Teresa says she's in Cameron's membership and she's been trying to find a niche with no success. Should I just go back to market to everyone? Most of my friends list is, are you saying most of your friends are like coaches? Coaches, like industry coaches. And then Michelle says nonprofit and churches. Coaches make a really good niche. We actually have someone in the Bookkeeper Blueprint whose niche is coaches, and it's not just your like mompreneur coach that's trying to be a coach. They're actually legit coaches. So it could be a really good niche because once you get in with coaches, they can also open you up to other coaches and or other industries. But let's talk about that too. Okay. So nonprofits, churches, coaches, coaching industry, gym owners, martial arts studios, landscapers, construction, plumbers, brokerages, real estate agents. Those are all examples of industries. You can take them further down and you can say commercial landscapers versus residential landscapers. So maybe you're only looking for commercial landscapers who work on commercial buildings. Maybe you're looking for residential landscapers who only work on single family. They work with property managers, things like that. So do you see how you can narrow it down? So if I were to use landscapers as an example, I'm going to come over here to Facebook. I have a lot of messages to do. So I just searched in the top landscapers, and that's going to show me some groups and it's going to show me some pages of landscapers near me, and I can see what they're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at just the groups to see those. And for those of you that were on the call on Monday, you heard Cameron say not to post in groups. But what did he say about how to utilize groups? He said to go into the groups and make connections. So you're going to invite them to your page. You're going to invite them as a friend. You're going to befriend the people in the groups because you already know that they're in your niche, right? Oh, so here is an interesting niche. Women in landscaping. So women-owned landscaping businesses. Women-owned your industry could be a niche, especially if you're partnering with centers who do grants for women and you're in business groups designed to support women. You can find those that just might limit you to the number of clients you can find. And so it might just be harder to find clients in that niche. So like women in landscaping, there's only 522 members in here. There is 8 posts a month, so it's not active. Landscapers Lounge is private. Landscapers in a specific city in Oklahoma, there's 62 members. There's only 10 posts a year, so I probably wouldn't join that. I am looking for the groups that have preferably thousands of members and that's active. Mesa, Arizona landscaping, there's 100. I might check that one out. Like I might join this if like I was in Arizona for a bit. I might join this because even though it has a few members, that's the start that I can start adding friends, but it's not necessarily an active group, if that makes sense. So that's why I would join this one, is just to make friends with people who are active. So professional landscapers, 53 members, 10 posts a day. I am looking for groups like this. And what I find with groups is you're going to be looking to add 3 groups a day, minimum 5 groups a week to your Rolodex, if you were, so that you can go through and you're going to find out of that just a handful that are really good that you're going to use a ton to find people that you want to connect with. This is someone, this is all the new members. It's been a while since they posted that. So this is someone looking for a landscaper. And this is this is interesting. It's connecting you with, where is this group at? Located. I don't see, there's not like a location where the group is at. I would probably find that out first before I spent any more time on it. But let's say this is a US group local to us. It's connecting us with garden centers. That way, yeah, this is not in the United States. I don't think. I did landscapers with another individual, and actually it was a lot easier to find landscaping groups and everything. So it's interesting that it's changed on me. That could be algorithm. But okay, let's use this as an example, saying it's US. I would add them to personal. And I would join with my personal, probably. I mean, obviously you could join with your business page if they allow it. That's just going to limit the number of groups that you could join. So I would join personally. And then as you add them as a friend, you can invite them to like your business page. But it really depends on where you're doing all of your marketing. But Harry Garden Center, you can connect with landscapers through garden centers. And so if the garden center is doing advertising, if they're sending out any sort of like brochure, flyer, whatnot, you might be able to sponsor that flyer and have your business information on that flyer. And the point of me showing you this, I'm going to pause that because that brings me to my main point that I was going at here, is what other people can we connect with that are connected to the landscapers we want to find. So this might be your local Tractor Supplies, your local garden centers, not like your Lowe's Garden Center or Home Depot Garden Center, but like your actual landscaping garden supplies, landscaping centers. Sometimes you actually have to, I just went and created an account at a garden center near me. You actually have to pay for an annual membership or be a landscaper. But I was buying I needed some pumpkins for my kids and to plant some pumpkins. And so I created a membership. It was like $25 a year. But that would give you a way to connect with an established business. So this garden center has been around. It's multiple generations been around. And in just asking them questions, getting to know them, I could get to know the owners, the people who are talking to landscapers every single day and build that relationship so that when a landscaper needs bookkeeping, they might already be seeing my information because maybe I put an ad on their little like counter where they have like business cards, or maybe they don't have a lot of flyers and it's just mine that's there. I could go to landscaping trade shows where I'm meeting with landscapers and serving landscapers and helping them grow their business. Where else do landscapers learn to grow their business? And what software are they using? So the interesting thing about landscapers is they have some specific software that they can use. So a lot of industries will have a third-party software that they want to use for CRM purposes. Think your interior designers who use third-party softwares, your brokerages. Landscapers use something called Yardi, and they try to say that it's a full accounting software. It's not. So where is Yardi going for to advertise their business? I probably want to be there too, right? So who else is marketing to your ideal client? And can we partner with them? Can we make connections with them? Or can we show up where they're showing up? Does that make sense? And then I would evaluate what type of YouTube channels. I'm going to pull up YouTube. Okay, yeah, I believe that. Yeah, a lot of third-party systems are going to target more than one. You have some that are just specific. I've seen some pet third parties like that market to groomers and pet boarding, whatnot. So that's just something to like pay attention to, is what vendors are my clients purchasing? And you can go through, if you already have a client, let me know if you don't already have a client and you're in this call. But if you already have a client, scroll through your clients' vendors. What I did this at one point in my journey, it was right after I read Pumpkin Plan the first time. I went through my like top 3 favorite clients and went through their vendor list and did the same thing. One was in Amazon e-commerce, and I said, okay, what software, what vendors are you using? And I had already known he was using something called Helium. I think there's another word in there, but it's Helium for e-commerce. And I actually found groups on Facebook so around this software, and I was able to join those groups. Guess what? That group is full of people doing e-commerce. It's not an Amazon e-commerce group, it's a Helium group, but I know that they're doing e-commerce because that software supports e-commerce clients. So I know by connecting with people in that group, I was finding and getting connected to with e-commerce clients, as an example. Does that make sense? So if you already had a Facebook support group, and we can look real quick, and then I'll share my screen. So I just searched Yardi. There is a lot of questions coming up in bookkeeping groups. And then if we switch all, there is one tiny. So I would do some more research, like where are they providing support at? Maybe they have a Slack channel. So someone mentioned coaches earlier. If you can get on a coaching support Slack channel and start adding value in Slack, you're getting off Facebook, but now you're in a private community. And even if you had to pay like $47 a month to be part of that community, that might be worth it. So there might be other ways to pay to get access to these niches that don't break the bank, but sometimes it makes a lot of sense to pay for a course, get access to buying to people who know. Let me start it. It makes a lot of sense to get into the network of where your niche is by paying for a course, paying for a community, paying for a Slack channel where you already know, because they're paying to be in that group. You already know that they're going to respect you for being in the group because you're paying to be in the group. So they're going to think, oh, you're a peer type thing. 2, you already know that they're willing to pay to grow their business. Versus in Facebook groups where people are trying to get free advice, they're not paying for that advice. You don't know that. So sometimes on Facebook, you can get yourself, and I've talked to numerous bookkeepers who have gotten into Facebook groups, and the people don't want to pay them for services. They want to have free bookkeeping or pay like $50 to $100 a month. And it's Yet they've got 5 e-commerce, they've got an e-commerce store, a Shopify store, a Square account, a Venmo, like all these things that you have to reconcile, and you can't do that for $100 a month. So just something to consider if you haven't considered it yet. So the other thing I wanted to show you, I'm going to also search Yardi on YouTube. Okay, so I'm on YouTube and I just searched Yardi to see if there is I don't remember their logo. No, that's it, not it. Didn't think it was it. So landlord software, others. So here's someone doing Yardi tutorials. Let's see, I'm just looking to see, do they have CJ's management? So this is another place where you can get active on people's comments. This is probably not a site I would spend a lot of time on. Another thing you could do is, I haven't found like an obvious, like I'm going to follow this person, Yardi person yet. How to close the month. Maybe something like this, but if I wanted to help someone use Yardi with QuickBooks and not just use Yardi 100%, you might get on YouTube or video. You can join us in the video breakthrough challenge and do videos specifically showing them, teaching them how to use both and become the expert in landscapers for this software in QuickBooks Online. Or if you wanted to niche in the software. So this is another example. The other thing I would do is I would come in here and search how to start business and see what players are in over here. So I'm going to consume this type of content to get to know my landscapers. What are they looking for? What type of questions they're looking for? And one of the reasons I'm going to do that is because if I can start adding value to them, if you're doing short videos, by clicking on the comments of these videos, you'll find questions that relate to bookkeeping. Maybe not truly bookkeeping, but should I be an LLC? When should I become an S Corp? Things like that. And you can build a community on YouTube as well, or instead of Facebook. And at some point you might find a relationship with a YouTuber that you can sponsor their channel or give them an affiliate link to shout you out. Does that make sense? That way you're getting in front of their audience that knows and trusts them. He's got 152,000 subscribers and he did not pop up last time I did this about a year ago with someone. I was definitely looking at someone else. You can grow a YouTube channel pretty quickly if that's where you're dedicated at. There's quite a few YouTube channels, and I found more YouTube channels than I did Facebook groups this time around. So that's interesting, something to think about, which tells us our landscapers are likely coming to YouTube to get information on their business, how to run their business, how to start their business, how to execute and grow it. To most of these are not small business owners. They're not making $1,200 a month. They're making more than that. And they're teaching others how to do this. Okay, so some other reasons, some pros to niching would be it simplifies your marketing. It simplifies what you have to do and what you have to talk about. It simplifies for your brain, especially as you start getting clients and getting into cleanup. Decision fatigue, like just mental fatigue, is real. And so as you try to start marketing, it becomes easier to market when you're marketing to a niche. It can also be easy to market as long as you have outlined your ideal client. So if you're like, I don't want to, you're listening to this and you're saying, Sherry, I do not want a niche. Stop talking about niching. This is true even if you don't have a niche. If you can identify your ideal avatar, name them something like Roger or Sam or Sally. Who is it? It's Sarah she runs her business, earns $300,000 a year. She's got 3 employees under her. She's a busy mom too. She's picking up her kids from daycare. She's a homeschooling mom. She's a soccer mom, whatever what does she do in her personal life? What is she doing in her business? And really identify what is her need. Her need is to stop trying to make her virtual assistant do the bookkeeping, because the virtual assistant could be doing more with her email so that she's not on her phone as much. Right? So what is really Sarah's problem? And as soon as you know that, it gets easier to show up and talk to your clients, whether you have a niche or not. As you do that, word of mouth becomes easier. So if you have a niche, let's go with nonprofit and coaches. Those are the two niches we've talked about. It gets easier to be the referral. I get into the coaching circle. I just did. Well, I'm not in the coaching circle, but through a coach, I got to present to another group of business owners in a completely different industry. But because I'm niched there, it became really easy for me to be the referral. Oh, hey, my students, people I serve, need to hear what you have to say. They need QuickBooks. They need to stop using Excel if you're doing real estate agents or Etsy sellers, things like that. So word of mouth referrals become easier. You do have to work for word of mouth referrals. Some bookkeepers will sit back and say, oh yeah, all of my marketing comes from word of mouth referrals. The problem is you do have to work to keep those referrals referring to you. You want to stay top of mind. You want to make it easy for them to refer to you. So yeah, some of them are going to come, but it's also a marketing strategy that you can't just sit back on and do nothing with. To some degree, it happens. But if you want consistent clients happening every month, signing 1 to 3 clients a month, you really need to take an active role in the referrals. By having a niche, we talked about Yardi with landscapers, you end up with a very deep understanding of their software, like just in general, whether it's Yardi, whether it's, everyone's using Helium 10 for that's what it was, Helium 10, for this aspect of the business. So when a business owner is saying, hey, I'm not getting, this is not working, my CRM is not importing right, my invoicing process is awful. You have 10 other landscapers who are dealing with the same issues, and 5 of them have it solved really well because they're using XYZ software, and maybe it's not Yardi. And so you can go back to this business owner and say, oh, hey, a lot of my clients are having success with this software. Here's what it looks like for them. Would you like to try it out? Like, maybe it's worth considering. I'm happy to get on the call with you as you talk to the software rep or whatnot. But you get a deep understanding of how they're claiming tax deductions. What are their regulations? What are their state regulations? What are their software that they're using? So the understanding of the industry just goes deeper than if you're serving 20 different industries. You want to pick an industry that's growing. So the coaching industry is still growing. Nonprofits, churches aren't going away anytime soon, right? But if you decided to have niched in escape rooms, I don't think there's as many starting this year. Now, obviously, I haven't looked this up. I'm just thinking about, maybe it's just my area. I don't see as many escape rooms starting now as they were 3 years ago, where it was like escape room after escape room. They're mostly up and running and established. There's not as many starting. So you could niche into escape rooms, just know that it might not be growing like it was before. So I would evaluate industry growth. And both of the people, Michelle, Teresa, that we looked at your niches today, they're both growing industries. So we talked about searching in Facebook group, engaging in Facebook groups where you can post, you can sometimes go live in Facebook groups. You could do that. You could simply just add friends and then go live on your profile through shorts, through just going live, through whatever means. If you want to host a workshop, we can help you host a workshop. So if that's something of interest, let us know. Final tips, you can test the waters before you commit to a niche. You can start, I did this. One of my clients that I liked early on was real estate appraisers. So I went through this like roadmap that I've given you today. What magazines are they listening to? What trade shows, what events do they go to? And I found them. I found one in Las Vegas. I found one happening somewhere else. I forget where. Maybe it was Florida or something. But Las Vegas was close to me at that time. So I actually was like, ooh, let's go. And with that route, and I started connecting with real estate appraisers through Facebook, like gearing up to like really step into this niche. and found it really hard to get them on the phone and really hard to find. And what I found is with real estate appraisers, you can have independent appraisers like my client that I have and have had for, oh gosh, 4 years. I think I've done 5-6 years of his bookkeeping. But he's independent. And so as I started connecting to real estate appraisers, commercial, residential, etc., I started running into, but some of them are in actual brokerage. And so I became very limited with who I could reach out to. Therefore, it wasn't a good niche for me, and I backed out and stopped pursuing it at all. But I knew the podcasts they listened to, I knew their influencers, I knew all of everything we talked about, and I had my ideal avatar until I figured I learned something else about the industry and got stuck and was like, oh, that's not the niche for me, just because it had limited my reach so far. Just something to think about. Network within the niche. And this is where the pumpkin plan that I mentioned earlier really might help with perspective on how to niche within that industry. So definitely worth listening to. It's a super short listen. And then specialize your marketing. How do you really identify the coach, for example, that you're going after, or the pastor or nonprofit you're going after, and learn to speak to them. So if you're recording a video, you're speaking to Sarah on the other side of the screen. Like right now, I'm speaking to two people, I'm speaking to two of the people that are on the call because they interacted. So it's easy for me to speak to you guys because you physically gave me feedback. So as I get on YouTube, I'm going to find those questions and you could even post, I'm answering this question with the name. It doesn't matter what channel it was from. I'm answering this question. You might have this question too. But here, John, because it says John, his name, you might blur out his last name. Hey, John, here's the answer to your question. That's going to help Sarah and Sally and Joe and Ashley, who have the same question John had. They just didn't know where to get the answer. That's your goal with marketing. Whether you're posting like Cameron's talking about, or you're doing lives, you're doing workshops, you're doing short videos or long form videos on YouTube, whatever that is, you're answering John's question because you're going to answer Ashley's too. Anyway, I hope that helps with marketing, how to specialize it, how to really target where you're headed so that you become the expert in your industry. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye, guys.